motion. Let's keep these wheels in motion. In motion. You thought I did not know. Did you think I would let it go? Oh no. And in time, yes, I think it's absurd. But until then, you'll leave your words. But lay on, lay on. Now it's time to defend your lies. Lies you've been feeding me all this time. And will you reoffend? Oh darling, you say that you are innocent, but your ways, they seem irrelevant, but still play on. Now it's time to defend your lies. Lies you've been feeding me all this time. And will you reoffend? Oh darling, oh you have reached your lover's end. No more will we make pretend like we something to fight for. Oh. We had nothing to fight for. 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 needed was love, but that was never enough. No, never enough. 'Cause you were chasing your dreams, now you can't redeem yourself. 'Cause you were chasing your dreams, now you can't redeem yourself. Disregarding your name, your smell is all that remains. They say you're an SLUT, but that doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit well with me. I remembered what you'd say. We're all looking to be alone. And somehow, someday, we'll find what we're looking for. Till then, you'll still be a boy. Don't tell me who I have become. Don't tell me who I have become. I remembered what you'd say. We're all looking to be alone. And somehow, someday, we'll find what we're looking for. Until then, we will all be yours. We will all be yours. We'll all be yours. Don't tell me who I have become.
Good evening, race fans, and it's round 3 of the GT Alphas International GT Challenge coming to you from Fuji, and it's going to get moist this evening in the feature race. We've changed the lobbies around a little bit. We had a couple of dropouts from lobby 2 because of work issues, so we switched things around and we've merged the 3 lobbies into 2 bigger lobbies. So we should have 15 on track. I know we'll have 14. We're expecting 14 in the sprint race, and then the Truth, hot from another competition over his neck of the woods, will be jumping in for the feature race here. But we'll have a little looky see where we're at. Right, so that helps them on the right page, doesn't it? That'll be a good start. There we go. So this is how the grid is looking for this evening. Sharky, Newton, Stormfly, Kazan, Demos, Bodyval, The Truth, who will be joining us for the feature, not the sprint. Midas, Pavlos, TJ, Michael Sabotka makes his way into Lobby 1 for the first time this season. Beardy, Colum, Wiggy, saved by some people not being able to make it, and Jay creeping into Lobby 1 with the expansion of the lobby to 15 spots. We are still missing a couple in, though. It would be good if they could show up at some point in the next few minutes. That would be quite useful. At the moment in the lobby we have 12 of the 14 we're expecting. Sharky's in, Michael Sabotka's in, Stormfly, Body Val, there's Demos, there's Tyler, there's Wiggy, there's Midas, there's TJ, Beardy, Colum, and Old Man Jay. I know we haven't got The Truth. Oh, good evening, Andrew. I've just seen you there. How are you? Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. We're missing Newton. There is no Newton yet, and he's leaving it very, very late to jump in. Particularly considering his pace, he's been really quick. He's been in and around that top 3 all season so far. Right, quick lobby reset, so the conditions are the same for everybody. Oh, someone's initialised another. That is Pavlos. That was Pavlos coming in. So Pavlos we were waiting for as well. I had seen him, to be fair, but Newton's still missing as well. So as soon as he's in, I'll do the lobby reset. There we go. Someone else is coming in now. Who's coming in now? No one. Try again, shall we? No, someone's still trying to come in. There we go. Lobby reset time. So it is just Newton we are missing. It is going to be the standard 5 minutes of qualifying, so a couple of laps here around Fuji. Then we will have 12 full out, balls to the wall racing laps. No worries about tyre wear, no worries about fuel. They're just going to go at it, and that will set the grid, albeit the top 6 will be reversed, for the feature race this evening. Weather conditions for the sprint race are going to be fine and sunny and dandy. Weather conditions for the feature race, however, are going to be typical Japanese racetrack weather. It's going to be woeful and unpredictable. So looking forward to seeing how that mixes things up. We've got Newton's got 3 minutes to make it, or he'll find himself not in the sprint. He might make it for the feature. Who knows? But it also means that he will drop out of lobby 1, and that will take him right out of contention for the championship. Currently sitting 4th in the championship, and he's not made it yet for lobby 1. That's going to take him well out of contention. Currently Stormfly leading the way, but only on the fact that he does the points and he is level with Sharky. Sharky and Stormfly both on 327 points. Bonnie Val didn't have the greatest performance in the feature race last time out, lost his way a little bit, 321 points for Amigos. Newton there just behind, 3 points behind him. He's had a great, 2 points behind him, had a great start to the season. He's on 319. And then we've got the Hellenic Knights racing team, along with Kaizen from LRC, all hot on the tail of that kind of top 5 positions there, with TJ and The Truth rounding out the top 10. Good performances all round. We've got some big names coming into this lobby 1 for the first time. We've got where is he? Where's he gone? Michael Sabotka, incredibly quick, and expecting to see him there or thereabouts. We've got 2 minutes before we get cracking. It may well be, I say may well be, I think what we're going to do from this point onwards, because we have, how you doing, Rob, good to see you, because we have a a relatively high dropout rate at the moment with people not being able to make it and stuff. We're going to scale this down from 3 to 2 lobbies and restrict the number of races. So we're going to restrict it to a maximum of 31 drivers for 2 full lobbies. So the first 31 are in, and then anyone that checks in after that point is a reserve, and they will slot in for anybody that's checked in. Priority will go to the top 31 drivers on the leaderboard, just so that's clear. Not counting anyone who is already a reserve, if that makes sense. So anyone that's racing full time and is in the top 31 on the leaderboard will get priority for a lobby spot going forward. Also, we will, after this race, be allocating Pro and Pro-Am status to drivers. So the top half of the field will be Pro. So basically Lobby 1 Pro and Lobby 2 Pro-Am. And then from that point onwards, you will hold that title until you no longer deserve it. Right, so we're going to get everyone ready, and I think we'll get cracking with qualifying. Newton has not made it, unfortunately for him. Making sure everyone's got their tyres. It's going to be racing softs all the way for this 5-minute qualifying session. It's going to be, I think, a 3 or 4 way battle for pole, I think. 3's enough, 4's enough. There we go, people give me the ready up. Let's get cracking. Oh, no, nearly. That's not the one. Don't want me in the race. Let's go. Qualifying will begin shortly. Now, Sharky, we know, is quick. Marcus Botka's quick. Stormfly, we've got Bonnie Val in there as well. All capable of a really, really quick time. It could be interesting. Those the HKRT boys, they're all pretty quick as well. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So let's get all the details up. Let's get those off. We don't need those. And we'll see who is first out. We'll do the onboard with them. Everyone getting onto the track quick. There's only 5 minutes of qualifying, and it doesn't wait. It doesn't start when you go out. You need to get going. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good race this evening, Rob. I really do. There's 4 on the racetrack. Shane Newton isn't here, because Newton had made it. That would have been 5 on the racetrack, all capable of pole position, all capable of winning the race. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens, who does what. So let's who's the first out? It looks like it's not. No. Trying to find the front car. There we go. TJ is the one that gets the onboard lap today, as he's the one that came out first. Thought he was going to lose his back end then, and we were going to have to switch to Stormfly in behind him. It's good. It's quite a complicated racetrack, Fuji, because it was originally built as actually a speedway, which is why it's called Fuji Speedway. But hence the really, really long straight down one end. But they decided to make it into a more conventional racetrack, which is why it's got this kind of odd shape with such a long straight. But it hosts a whole host of different events. And it is a really, really cool racetrack. But sectors 2 and 3 incredibly complicated and can catch even the most experienced drivers out. So you really need to get this corner right to set yourself up, clipping the apex and getting on the power nice and early, because this is a very long straight, and the earlier you can get on the power, the better it is for your lap time. Heading down underneath the Advan Bridge, you've got the pits on your right hand side. You're sticking to the left though with full power, flat out, revving the engine to an inch of its very life before you head to turn 1. You're looking for that 100-meter board on your left hand side. That's when you get on the brakes, get down through the gears, use that engine brake to slow the car down, clipping the apex, use as much of the road as you dare on the way out. You can use a lot more when it's dry than you can when it's wet. Up the road we go for turn 2. A little dab of brake, you don't even have to change gear, just get it turned, get that car rotated before you come to this tricky right-hander, which kind of curls back on itself, and you have to feather the throttle through here, just letting it stay within track limits before a short blast up to this left-hander, down to second gear. You've got to it really opens up on the exits. You can really get the power down early, and then you swoop round this long. It's a straight, but it's not straight, if that makes sense. You're flat out before you get into the chicane. Hard on the brakes, down to first gear. The get that rotation into the first part of the chicane, and it opens out again into the second part before you sweep round to this right hand side. This is the trickiest part of the racetrack. You've got to clip this apex early, drift out to that left hand side, but almost immediately to the right for this left-hander. Again, clipping that apex early to that right-hand side, and then up to the final corner where you go. There's 2 or 3 lines through here, and you've got quite often see attempted overtakes. But by far the best place for an overtake here is going to be turn 1 with the slipstream. So TJ going to come across the line. He's going to set our first time for us. And what is his time on the board going to be? It is a 1:39.1. I fully expect the pole position time to be in the low 38s, maybe even a high 37. There is the first one out of the back. I want to say low 38s, 1:38.001. That is as low in the 1:38 as you can get within 1,000th of a second. That's not too shabby at all. Bonnie Val on that front row as well with a 37.8. Although briefly, a Sharky jumps in with a 38.4. The 30, I said 37.8. It's a 38.7 for Bonnie Val. Stormfly with a 39.0. So 1 second separating the top 4. But ironically, you go down the field and it is between Old Man J there. With a 1:40.9, it's less than 3 seconds separating the entire field of drivers from first down to 13th. So interesting start to the proceedings here. So it's Michael Sobotka out in the lead with Sharky joining him on pole. Bonnie Val and Stormfly taking up row 2. These 2 have been battling out all season. In fact, these 3, along with Knudsen, have been battling out all season. So it's a real shame. Real shame that Knudsen didn't make it this evening. Even more so that we didn't know he wasn't going to make it either. There is a little bit of lag, and then I do wonder if that's because we have such a diverse field, because we've got Americans and Australians and Brits and Dutch and Greeks and all sorts all across the world. So it could be a deciding factor in that. Right, so what about further down the field? Top 10. Beardy just outside that top 10 with a 1:40.3 for Amigos, with his teammate Colum very similar in pace actually, just behind him with a 1:40.4. They've got Old Man J just to the closing actually with 3/10 of their time. So going to be an interesting battle at the back there as well between those guys, because they are only separated from the leaders by 2.7 seconds. No change out in front, and it is the final lap. So last ditch opportunity. Can he improve? Well, he definitely can't improve there. You can see that he hasn't improved. He's made a mistake somewhere. So he's going to stick with that 1:38.1. Has anyone else got anything to beat him? It looks like Bonnie Val's done. And they're currently row 2. So that's not a bad start. Row 2 for Bonnie Val. So let's have a little look how it ended up. Sharky moves down to, second place for Bonnie Val. Row 2 for Sharky and Stormfly. Wiggy and TJ on row 3. Row 4 is Pavlos and Demos. Midas as well, so very close together, those guys. Tyler in 10th with Beardy, Colum and Old Man J rounding out the top 13. There we go. Right, that's all done and dusted. Ready up, guys. Nothing real changed from qualifying. Same tyre combos, so we can get cracking straight away without messing around, I think. Yeah, let's go. I'm just going to start it. If they're not ready, then tough boobies, I say. I was just checking to see if Newton had turned up, but too late. He can come in for the feature race if he dare. So I'm just opening me Pepsi. Helps if we watch it, doesn't it? So it is a rolling start, which should help, hopefully, down to turn 1. These guys are all pretty good, to be fair. We're looking at a bunch of drivers who know what they're doing and are quite capable. So I'm not too concerned as we go into turn 1. We'll stay there with TJ in 6th. 6th is about where I like to be to watch what happens down into turn 1, and already getting into that single file line down with the slipstream to try and get a little bit of an advantage if they can. Into turn 1 we go. Is it clean? It's looking clean so far for the top 6. How about behind? Little nudge there on somebody, but it looks like they're all through nice and clean, and on we go. No red flags. Lovely jubbly. Great start. So Michael Sabotka, he leads the way from the United States as it stands from Bonnie Val, with Sharky just in behind. Remember, this sets the grid for the feature race. Of course, the top 6 being reversed, but points are what matters, and there are plenty of points up for grabs in these 2 races, and certainly important for Bonnie Val to bounce back after well, it wasn't a perfect race at Trial Mountain. Lots of things went wrong for lots of people at Trial Mountain, let's be brutally honest, but in the big scheme of things, he wants to stay in that fight, particularly with Newton not showing up today. Sharky, Bonnie Val, Stormfly all looking to get as many points as possible. Absolute paramount importance for them. There is TJ running the top 5. Now, TJ at the beginning of the season wasn't expecting to even be in Lobby 1, yet somehow has managed to not only stay in Lobby 1, but be relatively competitive. And he's in the top 10 in this season, in this series so far. So if you consider that, I mean, that's the top third of drivers in GT Alphas. He undersold himself a little bit. Currently running in 5th though, that's a good start from him. Behind him though, he's got the 3 Greek drivers, Pavlos, Demos and Midas. And that tends to be the order we see these guys running. Pavlos ahead of Demos and Demos ahead of Midas. We are going to be keeping an eye out because there were a couple of reports of pushing and shoving with a couple of these guys last week. Nothing went in officially, but we will keep an eye out. And if there is ever anything you want looking at, then put the ticket in, because we do look at them as proven this week. I don't know why I've got some drop frames. Hopefully that will resolve itself relatively quickly. Bear with me 1 second. Back with you. I don't know what the problem is. It went a little bit skew-whiff for a while. I did suggest that somebody else hosted so I could concentrate on the broadcasting and not use up all the bandwidth on the hosting, but nobody offered to do it, so I ended up doing it. I do think it does have a small effect though on the quality of the broadcasting when I'm also doing the hosting, particularly I think Saturday evenings as well, is because it's when more people are using the internet across the country, really. Right, anyway, end of lap 3, and across the line, Michael Sabotka still leading the way. He's not got it all his own way. He's not pulling away. Him and Bonnie Val still got Sharky. They've still got Stormfly for company. Stormfly going a little bit deep into turn 1, losing a bit of time though to that top 4. The top 4 now 1.7 seconds clear. It's 1.7 between Stormfly and it's 4 seconds between TJ and the lead. 2.8 seconds the gap between 4th and 5th at the moment. So that battle up in front is that 4-way battle. Looking back down the field, it's still very close. You've got here, we're looking at Wiggy here in 9th position. He's got Midas, Demos. In fact, he's got TJ's at the head of that little battle there, and they're sandwiched at the moment. Those 3 Greek HKRT drivers in between the 2. The 2 black flag drivers. They are the 2 black flag drivers. We've got TJ, the Dutchman, and the Welsh wizard that is Wiggy, fresh with his new fresh monitor after the shenanigans of last week. And there's a big hole in a monitor somewhere in Wales. That's the passion that GT Alphas brings out in the drivers. Still having a bit of an issue at my end, I don't know why. But that's a good exit there from Wiggy. Can he use that now with the slipstream to make a move on Midas? He's got about 3 seconds, but he's losing some time actually go down the straight there. Don't quite know why he's losing that time. It looked to me that he got a much better exit. But no, it's not happening. Yeah, Wiggy's dropped right back. He's back down to 9th place. Maybe he had a little issue, but there's no real damage in this sprint race, you can't really do anything about it. But if there was a touch from anybody, then of course he'll report it, and it will be dealt with forthwith. We are on top of the stewarding this season. We haven't had much of it, to be fair, but we are on top of it, and issues will be looked at, rest assured, and punishments handed out as necessary. There's Tyler. He's running out of the top 10 at the moment. He has been a kind of midfield wizard and been able to find that little bit of pace every now and again to kind of help him along the way and help him sort of challenge just outside that sort of top 5. It's a difficult top 5 to break into at the moment, let's be brutally honest. Colum there in 11th position. He's not all alone. Just behind him, Old Man Jay's ahead of Beardy. And that's a 3-way battle for sort of back marker kudos, really. All 3 promoted up from Division 2 from last week. So good points for them. And you've got to bear in mind that last in Division 1 is worth a point more than first in Division 2. Because of the bonus point system. So it's always good to be up a division if you can be. And they're not, there is a race on. They've got a race between them. It's 2 of the ART drivers and Jay there from Black Flag. So interesting battle for those drivers at the moment. Let's go back down to the front. And Stormfly's had a problem. Stormfly now back in 5th. Pavlos has caught him, and he's got TJ for company as well. So TJ up there, and they're side by side battling this out. And that's a spin from Stormfly. No, it's not a spin from TJ. TJ getting all kinds of wrong. Right, let's have a look, see what happened to him. Let's get the replay marker in and then find him again. There he is. Or was it? No, it wasn't. It was Stormfly that spun. Let's have a little look what happened. So we can see here, he's a side-by-side with TJ through turn 1. He goes a little bit wide, and then the back end just steps out where he's wide and spins him into the wall. It's not going very well for him at the moment. That wasn't an ideal scenario. And actually, there's the back markers coming through there. So he's down there now with Beardy and Jay and Colum at the back of the pack. So devastating start from Stormfly. It's going to start him near the back of the grid on a day where you know it's going to rain. You don't really want to be starting behind a lot of cars. You certainly don't want to be having to push your car and push your fuel if you know you're going to have some wet weather pit stops coming. That changes the shape somewhat of that top 3. And this is how it looks. Sharky now ahead of Bonnie Val as well. He's made that with the slipstream. Is that going to be an opportunity for Bonnie Val from Amigos to make it back here? He's not close enough with the slipstream to get him under braking this time out as they go across the line to start lap 6 of 12, halfway point. He makes the move up the inside. That is a fabulous move from Bonnie Val to retake 2nd position there. You can see there, he looks like he was so far back as well. You can see here, I mean, there's quite a gap, but it just, as they go under the Panasonic bridge, he just seems to close so much quicker and just eats up the ground between them and able to get it slowed down and onto the apex. Sharky giving him the room that he needed as well to get through. Now, remember, these guys did have it coming together when we were at Monza, so they're going to be mindful of that and not want that to happen. But what this has done, them battling, this has allowed Sabotka just to open up that gap a little bit out in front. He's 2.3 seconds clear now, and it's making it a little bit easier for him to relax into this race. Currently with a 38.0 fastest lap. That's qualifying pace under race conditions. Although technically it's not really race conditions because you haven't got tyre wear or fuel wear. So it's essentially 12 hot laps. That's what it is. It's a 5-minute qualifying followed by 12 hot laps because there is no tyre or fuel wear in this portion. Right. Going down the order, Pavlos got himself into that top 4. He made the move around Stormfly, which prompted a battle between TJ and Stormfly, which kind of led to Stormfly then losing the back end and dropping down the order. Can we see where he is? So he's still down there in 11th behind Colum from ART. You can see there, that's where he slotted in after that spin. Is he close enough now to make a move on the ART driver? He got a good exit. You can see initially Colum pulls away. Is he close enough to now rein him in. You can see now it's starting to eat up that gap. 2.1 seconds ahead of Old Man Jay, who's there battling with Beardy for 12th and 13th. But this is a battle for 10th position, with Stormfly closing on the back of Gloom. He's not going to be close enough to make the move this time, but he has eaten up some of that deficit down to half a second, and it is closing as we go through into sector 2. Sector 2, they hit his fastest lap, actually, a 38.3 is a very solid lap from Stormfly. And you can see here now, this is not a great place for overtaking. Potentially into this left-hander if you're lined up right and the gap is left for you. I don't think Callum's going to leave him that big. Well, he has. I said, I don't think he's going to leave him a gap. He left the door really wide open. And Stormfly almost losing it again. Couldn't capitalise. He got up the inside, but had to get that car back under control and couldn't make that move as he would have liked to take 10th position. So he's not going to have another opportunity now, really, until they make that run down to turn 1. Bodyval's still ahead of Sharky in that top 3. 4th is still Pavlos, and he's opened up the gap from TJ, who's still in 5th position, despite people ahead of him going backwards. He's still in 5th, but he's got no slipstream, but he has got Wiggy tucked right in there behind him. And these are the top 2 black flag drivers at the moment, down in 5th and 6th. But look at Demos. Demos with a great exit out of the final corner, and he's side by side with Wiggy, heading down towards turn 1 on lap 8 of 12. Wasn't quite quick enough to make the move. He didn't have the benefit of that extra slipstream. He tries to tuck in, tries to go round the outside. Has he got the grip to make it happen? He hasn't. Has to tuck in again, and that leaves him exactly where he was. But that was great running down the straight there. So I think the only thing that cost him really was that Wiggy had that slipstream from TJ ahead of him, and Demos didn't have any of it as he came up. And this is Kaizan now having a little look at the back of Demos. So Demos has gone from the aggressor to the defender in the space of a couple of corners. Kaizan up the inside. Has he got the pace to get him? Not this time. They sweep around towards the chicane. There is a potential in the chicane to make a move up the inside, but whether or not they, one, leave the gap open, and 2, are brave enough to try and dive through it is another matter. He has left the door open, although we see there that Demos quite cleverly, he left the door open on the first part of the chicane, but made sure it was firmly shut on the exit, and Kaizan couldn't capitalise that time. But he is really, really close, and you can see that Wiggy and TJ have got their battle just ahead of, Wiggy and TJ have got their battle just ahead, and you've got Demos and Kaizan battling out here for 7th place, and a much better exit from Kaizan this time, straight past Demos. Absolutely melts him on that final corner, and he's still pulling away from him. He has given some slip though to Demos. Maybe it might have been better off not to get such a good exit. Might have given his teammate a little bump up the road. That's going to help him close on the back of Tyler. He doesn't. That's the last thing you want, is you've got 2 teammates behind you bumping each other along and giving them the little push to get towards you. Almost on the brake. I think there was a little bit of contact there. He's going to have to back out. There's nothing wrong with Midas taking that position. He wasn't the aggressor there. Demos was the one, I think, that caught him. We'll have another look, but it looked to me that Demos just caught the back of Tyler into turn 1. He did, out-braking himself, caught the back of Tyler. He did the right thing though. He slowed up. He let Tyler take that position, but that allowed Midas to get through. And I wonder whether that was a sort of planned move really by the 2 teammates. I wouldn't imagine that was something they'd sat down and thought about, but it worked out quite well for Midas. But Demos did self-penalise, and so although Tyler did lose out, the aggressor did self-penalise himself. He's having a look up the inside here. That's an incredibly brave move into the chicane. That is insanely good. He makes that move in the chicane and makes it stick as well. He came from so far back to make that move. We'll have another little look at it here. It was very, very brave. You can see here on the run up the hill, he left it so late to get on those brakes, but got that job done. That was a really good overtake to gain 8th place. So up into 8th he goes. He gets the position the right way, and Kaizan having a little look up the inside again on the final corner, and that is not on. That is absolutely not on. Demos sees Tyler go round him, tries to spin him out. Absolute nailed on penalty for that. That is absolutely disgusting behaviour. Up until that point, I was giving him credit on his racecraft. Now he's just a big, massive, fat penis. So back to the leaders. Michael Sobotka leads this race 3.8 seconds now clear of Bonnie Val, who's managed to make a little bit of a gap on Sharky. 1.1 seconds that gap. Well, Sharky's not going to give it up anytime soon. We're on lap 10 of 12 of this sprint race. They've made a bit of a gap now, this top three. Pavlos, the other HKRT driver, who's not really got involved in those kind of battles, he's back in 4th place, 5.6 seconds back. 4.5 ahead of Wiggy, who's found his way around TJ and just now starting to open up a bit of a gap. Much better week for him this week, getting into that top 5. Of course, the top 6 will be reversed, so if it stays as it is, TJ will be starting on pole. So it's not all bad, but of course the points aren't there for him. Right, there is Midas up in 7th place, who benefited from his teammate catching Kaizan a couple of laps ago, and then Demos doing that incredibly stupid thing, trying to spin Tyler out when Tyler made a clean move on him into the final corner, and that will be looked at by the stewards, and I can guarantee you that will be for me, that is it's not an accidental hit or whatever. That was a blatant try and spin the driver out because you've been overtaken move, and for me that's a lobbied emotion, or maybe even a points deduction, but we'll see what the stewards say when they look at it. So across the line to complete lap 11 onto the final lap of the race. Oh, sorry, lap 10 for these guys, isn't it? Yeah, to start lap 11. So that's Stormfly in there in 10th. He's got around Colum, and he's involved now with that Tyler and a Demos battle, and one would wonder what would happen if he gets past Tyler and gets into a little scuffle with Demos, but the Demos has still got that little evil streak in him. To be fair, I was sent a video before this series involving driving standards of such, and yeah, maybe I should have heeded it a little bit. Okay, so it is the penultimate lap. And it's Michael Sobotka who's clearly demonstrating his pace in this opening sprint race. It's taken him a couple of weeks to make it up to Lobby 1. He was very quick. I think he was certainly in the top 5 in the placement test, and then couldn't make the first week, the opening week. He was on holiday with his family, so missed the opening week. So it's taken him a couple of weeks of racing just to work his way back into Lobby 1 with the big boys, and he's demonstrated why he absolutely belongs here with a 3.6 second advantage over Bonnie Val in second. He's now 3.2 ahead of Sharky. So that the front three now really opened up as we head into the last lap of this sprint race. Pavlos holding on in 4th quite significantly, with Wiggy 6.6 behind him. TJ's not given up 5th place yet, and Midas has not given up the potential 5th or 6th place yet either. There's still a battle going on between them, which could potentially lead to a change in that top 6. Now, of course, Midas will start 7th on the grid if he finishes where he does, but if he gains 6th place, he'll actually start on pole, which would be an awesome it's a massive incentive to have a look at taking 6th position. It's 5th for Wiggy, just ahead as well. That battle there still going on. Stormfly just behind Tyler, with Demos just ahead. No change there as we're on the final lap of this race, but rounding the final corners, almost there. This is Michael Sobotka, new relatively to sim racing, or so he says. His pace would suggest otherwise, but 3.7 seconds is his current advantage as he rounds that final corner, gets the car straightened up, gets on that power, and he will take the big points in this first sprint race here at Fuji. Of course, they haven't had to contend with any sorts of weather issues yet. That's still to come in the feature race. So it's Michael Sobotka from Bonnie Val. Sharky coming home in 3rd. Good solid top 3. Fourth there for Pavlos, coming home for HKRT. Not getting involved in the shenanigans of his teammates. Wiggy holds on for fifth. He's got TJ for company. He's got Midas for company. That's a three-way battle there. Drag race to the line. TJ just ahead of Midas for sixth and seventh. Tyler home in eighth. Oh, eighth, just ahead of Stormfly. Ninth for Stormfly there. Demos eventually in 10th. I don't know how he got past. Let's have a look, see if, what happened there. So he was already in 10th by the time they come around that corner. Okay. Colum home in 11th. Old Man Jay in 12th. And Beardy in 13th position. How about that? That's not a bad start, is it? Not a bad start at all. Marcus Blocker with the opening win there. Right. It will be a top 6 reverse grid. Let's get our photographs of all of these so we can do it. This is why someone else should host and I should broadcast. It's the best way to do it by far. Screenshot, of course, for the results page. Yeah, but awesome race. Couple of little moments of fuckery is oh, hang on. Of fuckery would, yeah, that's the best way to describe it, is moments of fuckery, because you know, we saw Demos, he caught the back of Tyler in turn 1 and did the right thing. He slowed up, he let Tyler regain his composure and keep that position while his teammate went through, and then at the end of the lap decided that he didn't want to be overtaken and tried to spin him out, which is absolutely disgusting behaviour and is unacceptable in this level of driving. You should be much more professional than that at this level, but there we go. Right, we're going to start the next race at 35, just so they know. Just let them know here. I don't know why I'm not using the keyboard. Yeah, there we go. And I'll see if meanwhile I can sort out what's going on with my dropped frames issue. Back in a couple of minutes. have returned. Hopefully the problems are solved. I think part of the reason we've got an issue, one, because I'm hosting and broadcasting at the same time. The other problem is that I think there are about 4 or 5 people in the lobby that are also broadcasting, and it is going to have an effect overall on the quality of the lobby, and the fact that we've got Australians and Americans and all sorts. But that's something that's down to PD to sort out. I think they need to consider that is going to be a problem. Because at my end, I'm getting all the data's coming back to me at the right speed, but because I'm also hosting, it's very difficult to get everything out with the broadcasting as well. Very, very annoying. Right, let's get this lobby set, shall we? Because the grid is going to look a little bit like this. TJ, finishing in 6th position, gets to start on pole because it's a reverse top 6, of course. Wiggy, who got ahead of him, will start alongside him on row 1. So good position for them to start, particularly for Wiggy, and particularly after last week. We've got Pavlos in there. He will be starting on row 2, and we'll have for company Sharky. So Sharky in a good position there, actually in row 2 there for a good place to start. It's a long way to go, of course. Then it will be Bonnie Val ahead of Michael Sobotka, who won the opening race and will start from 6th. 7th position, that will be Midas, who was ahead of Tyler, just. Hopefully, no issues between those two. I don't think there will be, let's be fair. Behind him is Demos, I believe. Who, yeah, that's. Oh no, the Stormfly got ahead of him. So Stormfly there will be ahead of Demos. That's Midas, Tyler, Stormfly, Demos, and then we will have Jay when he bothers to tick in, of course. Adjust grid there. Be Cullum in 10th. 12th will be Jay, and Beardy will be in 13th. Just waiting for Jay, of course, to tick in. He has done so now, so we can set him into that that grid. Let's just get Jay set in there. He will be ahead of Beardy. Right, the grid is set. It looks like the Truth hasn't made it. We've waited. Unfortunately, he was in another competition for money, so it was quite important that he obviously attended that. And from what I understand from him and Slipstream, it tends to run very late. I don't know if that's indicative of the organisation or whatever, but I don't know. But there we go. Right, let's ready check everybody and get cracking for 36 laps here around Fuji, and it's going to get wet. I can tell you that now. It's going to start dry, but it's not going to stay that way. If you haven't bought wet compound tyres, it is too late, my friends. It'd be interesting to see if anyone forgot to get wet weather tyres for this race. So we're going to get cracking, and it will rain. I can tell you that for nothing. Why am I doing that? What I wanted to do was that one. There we go. So the race is about to begin. It's going to be 36 laps here around Fuji. This is round 3 of the GT Alpha's International GT Challenge, and I think the rain is going to make things that little bit spicier than usual. Right, let's get rid of that. Let's get that one up, and again, it's going to be a rolling start. I think we'll start with the leader from the sprint race, shall we? Michael Sobotka, they're the American driver, and hopefully we've got a better quality of lobby for this 36 lap race. And it was a little bit choppy coming through from the lobby, but let's see. So again, we're going to see how it is into turn 1. Remember, the grip's not necessarily going to be there. We'll have a look at tyre choice for the opening stint of this race. I imagine pretty much everyone's going to go for the soft compounds, as you don't have to use all 3 compounds in a wet race, of course. Everyone in the top 6 through cleanly, everyone else through cleanly, and we're away. There we go. Right, let's have a little looky-see. I think everybody's going to be on the soft compounds, are they? So TJ out in the lead. Yes, of course, soft compounds. Soft for Wiggy, soft for Pavlos. And Sharky, yeah, going through the field. No one else has opted for anything other than soft compound tyres, which is an absolute nailed-on wise choice. So TJ leads the way at the moment. He's got Wiggy for company. These two were battling it out for 5th and 6th. And we winning that battle up into 5th position, which is why he started there behind him. Sharky's already made his way up a position ahead of Bonnie Val into a 3rd position. Bonnie Val to 4th, Marcus Boca into 5th. Pavlos dropping down the order, already down into 6th position. So getting swallowed up at the start there. Good start from Tyler though. He's there in 7th. He's got Stormfly just behind him, and they're ahead of Midas and Demos already, who've looks like Midas has lost a couple of positions. Dropping down towards his teammates. Colum there in 11th. 12th there is Old Man Jay, and him and Beardy. I think they're going to have a nice little battle between them for this race. So, not, you know, a lot of people argue, you know, you've got Lobby 2 drivers driving in Lobby 1, but actually, everyone's got someone to race on the racetrack, and I think that's quite important. It's going to be very difficult to have a lobby of 14 or 15 people where everybody is of the same pace. It's very difficult to find that. But if you can find like 2 or 3 battles across the racetrack for everybody, then absolutely running out. TJ already dropping down the order and loses a couple of places. Wiggy out in the lead. Last time it rained in a GT Alpha series, this man here, Wiggy, the Welsh Wizard, won at Spa over Bonnie Val. That was the last time we had a wet race. I can tell you that at some stage in this race, it is going to be torrential. The weather radar says, put your wellies on. And we know the Welsh are famous for having wellies. They're not famous for being able to sing. They're just famous for having wellies. And that is a fact. Sharky, the Australian, well, he's not so much used to having wellies, being that Australia tends to be warm a lot of the time. He is in behind Wiggy at the moment. He's looking to try and get himself in the lead early on, and I think it's going to be track position is going to be absolute key. You're going to want to save fuel. Obviously, you're going to want to save as much fuel as possible, because what you don't want to do is when you start on a low, start with like 50%, like a low tank of fuel. So you've got the issue of, do you pit and replace fuel and go back onto soft compound tyres with the rain coming? Does the rain come in at the right point for that pit stop? It's going to be a very, very, it's going to be about juggling and thinking, and it's a long race. It's 36 laps. There is Sharky making a move into turn 1. He's given just enough room to make the move, and Sharky takes the lead here, lap 3 at Fuji. Already starting to set his stall out in this feature race, and he likes to get out early and disappear off up the road. It's Sharky's thing. We know that he has the occasional brain fart in him, but he also has a hottest lap, and he does have he's got a couple of the fastest lap awards already this season. He was fastest in the placement test, and he's had a couple of others. I don't know if he's had all of them so far. I know Bonnie Val held the record in the GT3 World Championship, but has Sharky got, he's going to get another one today. We'll soon see. 39.8, that's a good opening lap, a good start really for the opening lap, shall I say. There's Wiggy there getting all kinds of grass as Marcus Sabotka moving through into 3rd position. That's a great little move from him, and there's a massive battle going on here. You can see him, look, loads of them. You've got the HKRT driver in there, Pavlos, he's having a little go. You've got Wiggy in there, you've got Marcus Sabotka in there, Bonnie Val's in there, TJ's in there. Look at this battle for 2nd, and all this is doing, this is just playing into Sharky's hands, and then Sharky disappear off up the road. This is not what they want, but what a great start to the race here. There's Tyler Lanzell, he's involved there. Stormfly's not too far away. That's the battle for 2nd. Currently separated, say 6 seconds off the lead, but Sharky is already 5 seconds clear because of this battle going on here. And look at how close this is. This is basically 9th place down to 2nd, all battling for 2nd place, while Sharky gets the benefit of not having to worry about it. That's a great little move up ahead from that was Tyler moving up into 6th position at the end there. You got Pavlos dropped down to 5th. Body Val has taken 2nd place, and it's now Sharky from Body Val from Wiggy, Michael Sabotka, Pavlos up into 5th. Tyler's there. Stormfly making a move on Midas again ahead. TJ dropping down that order. He's down to 9th, but he's still in that battle. It is all so close, all so tight. Nothing separating them, and that is Tyler going wide, losing a couple of positions. It's that easy to make these mistakes. Let's have a look at what happened to Tyler there. You can see here he's got a couple of cars behind him. He comes up to this left-hander. Oh, there was a touch there. Little touch there from Stormfly that might have to get looked at. Whether that was netcode or not, I don't know, but it certainly looked like he was caught a little bit. It may have been netcode. We'll see. We will see what comes through. So there we go. That is Demos in 10th. There is Colum in 11th. So close between all of these guys. It's such a raid. Look at this battle. You can see it's starting to spread out a little bit, but this is the battle essentially for 2nd place. So we've got there Sharky in the lead, significantly in the lead at the moment. Bonnie Val running in 2nd position. It is a little bit choppy in terms of lobby quality, and I'm telling you now, next week someone else is hosting, because we need to make sure we've got different people hosting and broadcasting. We have got a number of people broadcasting as well, which doesn't help. That was an insane move, absolutely insane move from Pavlos into turn 1. He has redressed the balance, but that's a couple of times now. These HKRT drivers have been a little bit too aggressive in the braking zones and not thinking too much around them. I think there's going to be a few penalties to look at from turn 1 today. That was another shady move. So Sharky leads from Michael Sabotka now, 1.4 seconds back to Body Val. We've got Wiggy there in 4th. He's still hanging on in that top 4. Stormfly's made his way back up to 5th position. He's now starting to get involved. Midas there in 6th, TJ in 7th, Tyler in 8th. We've got Pavlos there in 9th, Demos back there in 10th, and Colum in 11th. And it's quite a close battle between these guys. So we take this battle here. This is the battle for 2nd. Essentially, we've got Stormfly, Wiggy, Body Val, Michael Sabotka. Jumping donkey here. It is a little bit laggy. I think the problem is, Rob, is that because I'm hosting and broadcasting, it does kind of try to split the bandwidth a bit. And I did suggest that it was done by 2 different people, but that idea was poo-pooed. People don't like hosting, do they? But I think I'm going to insist from now on that someone else other than me hosts it. It makes sense to have it done that way. There's Midas there running in 6th place. He kind of leads this sort of chasing pack of him, TJ, Tyler, Pavlos dropping off a little bit now. So we've got a 3-way battle there, with Tyler just behind Midas and TJ making that move on Midas into turn 1. Great under braking. Is the old switcheroo on? It's not. He couldn't find the grip to make the switch, so Midas tucks in now in between them, but Tyler's really closed that gap there, and this is the 3-way battle for 6th at the moment. And TJ, who started on pole, dropping down the order, and the faster cars making their way through. I mean, we knew it would happen, but the whole idea of switching around the top 6 is just to try and prevent this from happening. This 6.9 seconds, and a lot of what happened here with Sharky was that he was able to avoid that kind of Royal Rumble style mass brawl that was the fight for 2nd on laps 3 and 4, and it just allowed it, while they were battling and they couldn't concentrate on fastest lap, what they could do was focus on what he could do is just focus on driving away and getting his lap in. They had to focus on defending and finding track position. Michael Sabotka is 2.1 ahead. Now he's found a little bit of room. He's not involved in that battle anymore. He's able just to open up that gap a little bit. There is Bonnie Val. He's starting now. He's able to edge away into that top 3. There is Stormfly. They're running in 4th position. He's got Wiggy right behind him. TJ 1.8 back. So it's just starting now. They're starting to settle into this race now, find their little positions. We haven't got that wheel-to-wheel stuff we had initially. We didn't expect to have that level of wheel-to-wheel racing. You can see the state of these clouds, and these clouds are that dark cloud looming over everybody that says at some point you're going to have to pit and put on some wet weather tyres. Now the question is, let's have a look at the fuel situation, because fuel is going to play a big part here in how much you're using early on, whether you pit and go on to another set of slick tyres, or you keep your slicks on and just put some fuel on. How much fuel do you put on? Do you wait until you're pitting for your wet weather tyres? That's the big burning question. Bonnie Val there in third. He's used a little bit less than Marcus Bock. He's the one that's used the most so far in that front three. Stormfly, he would have used a bit more. He's trying to push to close up that gap. Wiggy, we know, is pretty good on fuel, and there he is. You can see there. He's looked after that fuel really well. He is becoming a master of lift and coast. TJ, he's burnt through that fuel. He's going to have to be probably going to be the first to pit. And I imagine somewhere around lap 8, lap 9 is when we'll see that pit window open and moves start to happen. Behind TJ there, that's Midas, and that's so this is Pavlos here, and this is the battle currently for 6th. It's a 4-way battle. 2 HKRT drivers, LRC and Black Flag leads away, and there's Kaizan again. He takes a very different line through that final corner than everybody else does. It's a very smart line up the inside. TJ's going into the pits and kind of drew everybody out there into his slipstream, and then dived into the pits to leave them on track. So he was the first to blink. We thought that was going to happen. Now, does he come out and wet with the tyres? We know at some stage it's going to rain. Pavlos goes for the inside. Can he make the move on Kaizan into turn 1? He gets that apex lovely and makes that count. So we see Tyler takes the apex very well on the final corner, leading onto that long straight, but very wide there. I mean, he didn't really have an option. The Greek driver diving up the inside there when the opportunity presented itself. Tyler wanted to stay in the slipstream of the car ahead. So out front, what's changed? Nothing. 6.2 seconds there. 3.3, 1.2. Stormfly holding on. Wiggy holding on as well. So actually the top 5, although separated by 12 seconds, there is the potential, particularly with fuel saving, to see where people lie. Now, we're going to see, I think we're going to see Sharky, Michael Spocker, we're going to see Bonnie Val. I think we're going to see all of them. I think Stormfly certainly is going to pit this lap. I wouldn't be surprised if all of them come in this lap. It's what times they come out on the track. It isn't raining yet. It isn't raining yet, but it will rain soon. Now, is it worth taking the risk, knowing that the rain's coming, and putting on some intermediate tyres, knowing that you're not going to get the best performance out of them initially? Or do you carry on? Well, you can see there, clearly Marcus de Bock goes into the pit, Stormfly also in. Sharky has opted to stay out, as has Bonnie Val, for one more lap. The further you can go in this first stint, the closer to that wet weather that's coming, the better it's going to be for you in terms of pit strategy. Although, who knows? Sometimes you can stay out too long and get it all wrong. We've seen it happen so many times where a driver has stayed on the dry tyres a lap too long or 2 laps too long, and it's all gone horribly wrong. So everyone in the pits, other than Sharky, Bonnie Val, Wiggy, Demos and Beardy. Beardy's looked after, despite being back in the mix at the back. He's done really well there. Stormfly coming out a little bit quicker than Pavlos. He actually put on less fuel, more fuel than Pavlos, but he loses that position quite quickly where he goes a little bit wide. Now, does he take this back as we go into turn 2? He doesn't. He's tucking in behind instead. He recognises that he's got more fuel on board, so he's not got, the car's not as light. They're both on soft compound tyres, of course, as you would expect, but it's a long game. And the key is, obviously, when you're coming in for wet weather tyres, the less time you spend in the pits putting fuel in, the better it is for you. The quicker you get out on the track, get your tyres acclimatised to this wet weather, and start to find that new rhythm. And that's the one thing about a wet race. When you've got a race like the sprint race before, where the conditions stay the same, we see Sharky going in, I think Body Valve will go in as well. It's very easy to find that rhythm and kind of stick to that rhythm. When you've got changing track conditions like this, it's very difficult to build that rhythm, to find that consistency without potentially making a mistake. We talk of mistakes, and Pavlos makes a mistake there, and that allows a few drivers to come streaming through. We'll have a little look back at what went wrong for Pavlos. That's not who we're looking at. We're looking at Pavlos, aren't we? There he is. And we can see here his weird Stormfly, but he just loses that back end, spins it out, clips the wall there, doesn't do any damage luckily, only to his tyres, but that allows a couple of drivers through, including Michael Sabotka, which is put him down to 8th position. So Sharky's been in, Body Val in, Wiggy in, Demos in, and Beardy all into the pits. How much fuel do they put on board? What tyres they putting on board? Who's coming out? Well, that's Body Val is on the intermediates there. It has just started raining, so that extra lap has made all the difference. Sharky's gone onto the soft compound tyres. He's going to have to pit very shortly because the track is getting wet. Stormfly's on the soft. Marcus Sabotka on the soft compounds, as is Pavlos. Bonnie Val already on the intermediate tyres. He took the gamble, and this gamble may very well be paying off for him. Everyone else ahead of him is going to have to pit again. Now it's whether they opt to pit and go straight full wet, knowing that the rain is here, or do they go on the intermediates knowing they're going to have to stop again for full wets, or make the intermediates last in the wet conditions. Anyone else taking the gamble? Yeah, Wiggy as well. Wiggy's gambled as well. That's could prove very well for him. They've got to bear in mind that Bonnie Val and Wiggy were the best two drivers the last time it rained as well. First and second they were. And Wiggy was actually behind Bonnie Val in that race as well, and went on to win. Tyler Lanzell, he's on those soft compound tyres. He's only just come out. Demos has gone full wet. We're yet to see if that is going to prove to be a masterstroke. Now it could be. It's going to be a while before the full wets are entirely necessary. You just have to wonder how much time is he going to lose being on those full wets, or has he pulled a masterstroke? We're yet to see. Beardy there at the moment looking so much quicker than though on those soft compound tyres, as you would expect, while the track is still just mildly moist, and he's going to burn straight past him, dropping him down outside that top 10. TJ's on the intermediates as well. Old Man Jay has also gone the full wet route, and I'm not entirely sure the full wet route this early is necessarily wise. Even though we know that the rain has come and we know it's going to get much wetter, is it the correct decision to be on full wets at this stage without putting yourself in too much trouble? And I think already 17 seconds back for Jay on those wet weather tyres. It's going to be an uphill struggle. Where is Colum? Colum's there. He's on the soft compound tyres. He's up in the dizzy heights of 7th position, running really well. He's benefited from the way that the pits have worked and the battles on track. He's up in the upper echelons of this race at the moment, not where he was in the sprint race, which is battling down in the bottom 3. So Sharky is 12.4 seconds clear. He's on those soft compound tyres. He's going to need to stop again. Stormfly also on the softs. He's going to need to stop again, but he's under significant pressure from Michael Sabotka and from Pavlos from HKRT. Both right behind him, both giving him something to think about. They are all on the soft compound tyre, and they all need to think about when it is time to go intermediates. And I think they've decided that now is that time. Or have they? No. I think Stormfly was pulling the bluff then, said, I'll pull you all in towards the pits, let's see if you go. None of them went. They've all stayed out for another lap. They're going to brave it in these conditions. Is this going to prove to be the stupidest thing they've ever done? We will soon find out, because we are getting to the stage. To be fair, it's quite dry on that part of the racetrack. It is going to get wetter very soon. We'll have a little look in car. It stopped raining for the time being. Who knows? Was it the best idea to put on the intermediate or the full wet tyres, or is the softs the way to go? Was riding it with the softs the way to go? That's the top intermediate runner at the moment. That's Bonnie Val. He's staying on them at the moment. And what decision is he going to make? Is he going to decide? Look, they've got the benefit of the weather radar. They can see where the weather is, and it's all about thinking about when they're going to pit. Is it worth staying out on the intermediate tyres, even though at the moment clearly the slicks are faster? Slick tyres are going to be faster and under the current race conditions. You can see that parts of the racetrack are relatively dry, certainly on the racing line. It's certainly not chucking you all over the place for rain-wise. But we know the weather's there. We know that parts of the track are wet. We know you can't get on the curbs. You're going to go slippy slidey, and it is still raining. So it's a very difficult balance, and it's about how much time you're prepared to lose in this move. Now, Sharky is in. Is he making the decision now to switch to the intermediates while the track is relatively still dry, to get out early? Marcus Sabotka ahead of Stormfly. Stormfly second, Pavlos third. They're all staying out on these wet weather on these slick tyres as Pavlos makes the move past Stormfly into turn one. Makes that clean as well. Midas is also through in fourth. He's also on the slicks. Sharky's gone intermediates. Now he comes on those intermediate tyres. Was that the right idea? It's so difficult to tell who's had the master stroke, and that is with him. That's Bonnie Val up to seventh. So his gap to Sharky now only 3.4 seconds, and they're both on the same compound of tyre. Sharky having stopped twice. The only difference, of course, is that Sharky's got much more fuel on board and can go much longer. The question is whether it was worth putting as much fuel in if you have to go full wet. There is Wiggy. He's on those intermediate tyres. He's stayed on them. He's got Beardy for company. He's on the softs, and he's looking pretty racy at the moment, Beardy. Beardy up to 9th place and looking pretty darn quick. He's been lapping in those 141s, which is at the moment the track is justifying staying on the slick tyres. Wiggy on those inters. Full wets for Demos. That I don't think full wets was the right move, and I think him and Jay are really struggling at the moment being on those full wet tyres. Big struggle for those two guys with the conditions as they are. It will at some stage, I'm sure it will at one stage switch to wets, and that's when those tyres will come into their own for these guys. But you've got to bear in mind that when the track is not wet enough for wet tyres, the degradation on them is absolutely ridiculous. You can see there just how much wear he's gone through on the wets over even compared to the soft compound tyres, because it's just not wet enough for those tyres. So all the tread's just getting ripped away. Tyler's in, and Marcus Sabotka into the pits. Pavlos now leads this race by 1.6 seconds, and he's still finding significant pace. He's going to have to pit at the end of this lap though, because the fuel is not looking great. Stormfly in a much better position. He doesn't have to push quite as hard. He is going to be eagerly looking though at the wet weather monitor, which is saying the track is getting wetter. Think about what you're doing, guys. Let's have a little look and see if we can see get a better view of the condition of the track. For some reason my keyboard stopped working. Why has my keyboard stopped working? The camera things on my keyboard have stopped working. Wonderful. No more keyboard controls on my keyboard. Thank you, PD, for your absolutely wonderful so you can see there, I mean, it's clearly a wet track, and there's no real defined dry line on this track anymore, where it's just raining so hard, or the rain is getting harder. So it is time, I think, to make that switch. So Pavlos, what's he going to do? Is he going to come in? He's certainly staying on that right hand side. It looks like he's coming in when he's going to have to, because the fuel. Stormfly staying out on the slicks. He still feels comfortable then. He still feels comfortable with his pace on the slick tyres. And if you, and the thing is, if you feel comfortable, you feel you still got control of the car, then why change the tyres if you don't need to? Midas there, he's staying out as well. He's on the soft compound tyres, also on those slicks, also feels comfortable on those slicks. Colum, he's on the slicks as well, still feels comfortable on them, and through he goes. Pavlos changing out his tyres, I would imagine, for intermediates. That's Bonnie Val in to change out the intermediate tyres. Why is he doing it? Is he doing it for slicks? So we can see there the slick runners, so Sharky and Michael Spock are both on intermediates. They are running 4th and 5th. Beardy up to 6th place, and he's on those soft compound tyres and quite happy on them at the moment, as are Stormfly and Midas and Colum ahead. Pavlos changed his tyres and went back onto softs. That is either bravery or stupidity, and I think in the next 5 to 6 laps we're going to find out which of those two it is. Excuse me. Body valve's gone back onto slicks from the intermediate tyres, so clearly feeling that the track has got the grip in it and it's worthwhile staying on slick tyres at this stage. Again, bravery or stupidity, we will soon know. And you can see, I mean, there is it's wet, but it's not like swimming wet. Well, not yet anyway. But he's 13 seconds back in 8th place. Wiggy 13 seconds behind him. He's gone back on to those soft compound tyres as well. 5.7 seconds ahead of Tyler, who's also on the soft. TJ on those softs. Demos, he's changing back to the softs. Old Man Jay, he's getting rid of the wet weather tyres and he's gone back onto the softs as well. So Demos and Old Man Jay losing out big time, going on to those soft compound tyres in the intermediate weather. Intermediates or slicks were the best two options there. Wets were not an option under those conditions. Look, they took a gamble. They were gambling it was going to get really heavy really quickly. Didn't pay off for them, but if it had got heavy really quickly, then they would have noticed that it would have been a massive boost for them. So there is Stormfly, currently leads. He's 13 seconds clear at the moment, and it looks like that decision to stay on the slicks has paid off dividends for him and Midas and Colum. They are some way ahead of Sharky at the moment, who opted to go on the intermediates, is still on those intermediate tyres. Now it may prove that being on the intermediates is the good idea and it will change things, but we don't know. We don't know what the weather's going to do. Be interesting to see. Any battles on the racetrack? I can't see any at the moment. It looks like there's a bit of a battle going on there. You've got Beardy, you've got Pavlos just behind him. That's the battle for 5th. Pavlos nearly getting it very, very wrong and nearly sending Beardy all the way back to the start-finish line via Charing Cross, I think, who nearly hit him that hard. And they're really closing on Sharky. They're both on slicks, remember. He makes that move on Beardy. He almost makes the move on Sharky in the same foul swoop. But he is all over the back of Sharky on those intermediates at the moment. Sharky really struggling to find any pace. What's he going to do? Is he going to bite the bullet and come in and change him? Or is he being smart and thinking about what he can see on the weather radar? Right, there is Beardy. He's coming in. Okay, so he's seen something on the radar he doesn't like, and that says time to change. Again, is this going to be the master stroke? Is Beardy the tactical genius that I would think, being a man with a beard as well? Clearly you are critical thinkers and you look incredibly cool. So I imagine he's got the best strategy. Stormfly, you can see they're struggling to slow it down a little bit. And he does go on to those intermediate tyres, does Beardy. So Stormfly struggling to slow it down a little bit for the chicane, despite the fact the track is, for the most part, dry. But if we have a look, I can't use the keyboard controls, which is just sucky. There's no rain at the moment, so it is still slick tyre weather, but is something coming? The weather radar might suggest that is the case. There is some damp on the windscreen there. You can see it starting to come. And he's pulled over to that right-hand side. He does need to change tyres anyway, or certainly fuel the car anyway, so it makes sense for him to be coming in when he does. So he comes in from the lead. He's 15 seconds clear, and I'll be very surprised if he's not putting on some form of wet weather tyre, probably the intermediates. Midas there in second. He comes in as well. What's Colum going to do? Is Colum staying out? He's cut across at the last minute into the pits. Is he going to pick up that 3-second penalty? because he did cross that white line, that solid white line that separates the pit lane and the racetrack. If he does, then any gains he made on those soft compound tyres not necessarily going to work. The rain really coming down there in the pit lane, and it's coming down heavy. So who's gone intermediates and who's gone full wet? Stormfly has gone full wet. Sharky, he's still on those intermediate tyres. At the moment, they're going to work for him, but for how long? The rain is torrential. It is coming down in spades. Cats and dogs. Look at that. The visibility almost down to nothing now. To be fair, it threatened. The clouds have been threatening all day. We had a little bit of drizzle, and the little bit of drizzle was just testing it out, seeing what it's like, before it brought all its rainy friends along with him. And now we have slippery track. It's off now. Sharky up to second. He's behind Stormflies on the intermediate tyres. But for how long do those intermediates work? Stormfly down to second, Midas in third. Columbus was there. He did pick up, as I thought he did. He last minute decided to dive into the pits, and that's cost him a 3-second penalty. That's going to allow Pavlos behind him on those wets to close the gap, and Columbus gone on to the intermediate tyres. So it's wets for the front, for 3 of the front 4. Sharky on the intermediate tyres, really struggling to slow it down in the chicane. The weather now making things very, very difficult for the drivers. Beardy there on the intermediate tyres. He stayed out on the slicks, and it worked out very well for him. But now he's got to make those inters work, and sideways goes Beardy. Those inters go round and round and round and round and round, and that's not good. Body valve through. He's on the inters as well. He's managed to keep the car in a straight line. Michael Sabotka also on those inters, dropping down to 7th. Beardy ends up in 8th place. He's back on the racetrack, but taking an interesting line through there, and it may be that he opts to swap those tyres pretty quickly. Wiggy's gone full wet. Tyler Lansdale also full wet tyres for him. He's rounding out that top 10. Old man Jay, he's on those wet tyres again. He opted to change out for the slicks when actually staying on the wets would have been the best idea. A little look at the weather radar probably would have suggested that. He's 42 seconds back, but it's not all done and dusted. The rain is a great big leveller here. TJ, there he is, also on the wet weather tyres. Demos also on those wets. So the drivers we need to look out for. Sharky, for some reason, he manages to find insane pace when he's on the wrong tyres. And there's no doubt in my mind that he should be. He's powerboat, absolutely powerboats all the way. He should be on those wet weather tyres, but he's on the intermediates at the moment. But pulling a 2.4 second gap over Stormfly. He's going to have to pit. We're on lap 19 of 36. So he is going to have to pit at some stage over the next probably 4 or 5 laps as the tyres start to wear off for him. He's already done 9 laps on these tyres, and you can just see now that front left starting to play up a little bit. The fact it's wetter will help. It will help with the degradation. It will help with the wear. But he will have to come in probably a long time before Stormfly and Midas and Pavlos all behind him on those wet with the tyres will have to. But at the moment he's finding the pace. But for how long as the track gets wetter and wetter? Some of the circuit is a lot wetter than others, clearly, and there is a kind of a line through there they can take, but it's going to be very, very difficult. Body Val also on the intermediate tyres. He's got Colum, who's on the intermediates behind him as well, with Michael Sabotka also on the inters. Beardy also on those inters, with Wiggy already he's coming round the outside. You can see the difference in grip that these wet tyres have now, and the advantage they have over the intermediate tyres, as Wiggy is making moves on Tyler, who's desperately trying to hold him off. I think Tyler's on the wet, isn't he? Tyler is on the wet, so he's holding him off. I thought Beardy was under pressure, but he's not. So it's Tyler that's actually under the pressure there from Wiggy, but they're both on the wet weather tyres, so you can see that the grip seems to be for these guys just that little bit more. Although any grip in this kind of weather is crazy. Demos on those wet tyres is in 11th place, 22 seconds outside that top 10 now, with TJ behind him and then old man Jay. Back up to the leaders, the gap's closing. Stormfly now finding those wet weather tyres have got that little bit more They allow him just to attack those corners a little bit more, attack the curbs, attack the line. You can see the back end just wants to step out. In terms of heavy rain, it seems to have died down a little bit, but the track is still very much wet weather domain. Now the question, of course, is how long it stays this wet. How quickly is the track going to dry out now? Do the intermediate tyres come back into play? Do we get to a stage where an early jump onto slick tyres proves to be a masterstroke? Or do you stay on those wet weather tyres? And looking at you, the thing is, you've got to look at the radar and judge. You've got to feel the car and judge. You've got to feel your pace and judge. At the moment, it looks like the inters are coming back into play. Sharky got a bit of a gap. He has got quite a bit of wear on them, but it isn't raining as much as it was. And I can't. It's so annoying. I can't use my keyboard anymore for the camera controls. I don't know why they're broken, but you can see there it has stopped raining, and the track is starting to dry out. So the heavens opened, and then the heavens closed again. But we've already had that happen once before. How long he's very cleverly cooling his tyres at the end of the straight and for the braking zone to try and help with the wear. That's a very, very smart move from the Aussie driver, just making sure that he keeps the he just dips them into that water and just cools them off to try and help with the degradation on those intermediate tyres. I'm sorry I'm flicking through the things like this. The keyboard controls have stopped working. Excuse me. Okay, so we're lap 21 of 36 here. We're at Fuji for round 3 of the International GT Challenge. We're in the Subaru BRZ GT 300. And at the moment it's Sharky that leads the way by 1.2 seconds. We've had 2 bouts of rain. One which was just a little bit of drizzle for shizzle. And then the heavens opened. And for 2 laps we had biblical proportions of rain. Which caused nearly everybody to go in for the slicks. It started to for the wets. It started to rain yet again. It is on and off all the time. What level of rain have we got this time? This unpredictable Japanese weather that when it rains, it can either pour or drizzle. You just don't know. And although there's clearly a dry line on the track there, how long does this stay dry? Is it going to stay intermediate weather, or are those guys on the wets now going to be in a unique position? We can see there at the moment Sharky in quite a good position. He's on the intermediate tyres. It's intermediate tyre track, but the rain is coming. Stormfly behind him, he's got much more weight. He's going into the pits. Stormfly coming in to change his tyres. Now, Midas is staying out. I'm not, and Midas is cleverly actually running in the wet on the wet tyres and then moving back to the dry line for the corners. That's a really, really smart move there, just to make sure that he gets the most out of those wet tyres on the wet bit of track. Now, I'm not entirely sure that with the rain restarting as it did, and I don't know if it's back again or not, but it seems to have stopped again. It's been up and down all the time, isn't it? So Stormfly is changing out its tyres. I'm imagining to intermediates. Body Val already on those inters. So those guys on the wets, at one stage it looked like they were going to dominate and they were going to actually take control here. But the weather again with its change has caused the intermediate drivers, those that were brave enough to stay in the wet weather on the inters, giving them the advantage. And you can see Midas is using every wet bit of track he can find. He wants to stay off the dry line as much as possible because he's got those full wet tyres on. So who's going to be the first to go on to slicks? And there he is. There's the man, Black Flag Royalty himself, Stormfly. I'm only calling that because I referred to him like that last night in the BTCC. Black Flag Royalty in Stormfly. 1.7 seconds behind Pavlos. He's 25 seconds behind the leader. He's on the slick tyres. I'm not entirely sure it's a massive gamble. Looking at the track, looking at the fact that the rain, although it did start, it stopped again. There is a massive dry line around here. And unlike Suzuka, this track dries out very, very quickly. And that's why you can't touch the curbs when it's wet. If he'd stayed off the curbs, he would have been all right there. But as soon as you touch the curbs, that's when it goes wrong. And that is the danger of having slick tyres on when you have a wet track. You've got to stay on that dark black bit. You can't go on the lighter wet patches, and you certainly can't ride the curbs. So he loses a position down to 6th. Okay, Sharky in. Midas stays out on the full wet tyres, but they are, that's not a good idea now, I don't think, at all. He's coming up behind old man Jay to lap him. Gets that done quite well. Pavlos is full wets as well. He's in 2nd. Column intermediates, he's staying out. There are wet parts of the track still. Sharky, he's on to slicks. Stormfly, we know he's on slicks. He's 2.3 behind Sharky. Had to be a little bit careful through there, so he lost quite a lot of time going through there. Body Val just coming out of the pits ahead of, I was going to say ahead of Beardy, but he's not Beardy. Gets ahead of him and he's on the inters. Body Val's gone on to the slick compound tyres. Tyler on those full wets. He's opting for which tyres? I think he's going to go slicks as well. Demos on the wet still. They clearly thought about this because they're using the wet part of the track, staying on the wet tyres. Are they considering that it might rain again and they need to stay on them? Do they think the track's going to come back to them? I certainly think, looking at the weather, looking at how the track's developed, I think slick tyres is probably the way to go. Just stay the fuck away from the curbs, man. Wiggy, he is on those slicks as well. He's in the top 10 ahead of Michael Sabotka. He's got some damage as Michael Sabotka. I don't know when he picked that up. It may well have been, well, you can see he's got a couple of poor laps in there. He certainly decided to ride out that damage. He didn't repair it in the pits. So did he pick it up coming out of the pits maybe? Old man Jay up to 12th position. He's on the wet compound tyres. TJ behind has pit. He's got front end damage and he's on the slicks. So he will come up behind Jay, but if the track gets wet again, Jay's in a good position to be able to finish ahead of TJ. Now, as we're moving to a 2 lobby over a 3 lobby system, there will still be the promotion and relegation, of course, but it will only be the driver in 13th that gets relegated from Division 1 back to Division 2 because we had Truth was unable to make it and will therefore not classify and drop down to Lobby 2. And we had a no-show from Knudsen who will also drop down to Lobby 2. So they already go down. It'd be interesting to see actually what's going on in Lobby 2. It's a shame it's not being broadcast and we could like double screen that shizzle. So Beardy into the pits on the intermediates. So we're looking at Midas the moment. He's 21 seconds clear. 21 seconds clear. Lapping in those 148s, which is a good 10 seconds off the fastest lap on this track. Of course, that was on a dry track. But the track is now slick weather tyre material. It's gone now for me. It's gone past the point of no return, the point where slicks absolutely work. Stormfly in 3rd. He went on the slick. He was actually the first to blink, the first to go on the slicks, and made a little error. Just got on the curb, and we know the curbs aren't yet ready for slick tyres, and it gave him a little bit of a problem. He's making some just clearing some back markers at the moment, which is complicated enough on a dry track, but worse on a wet track because there's so much potential for crashikins. It's 18 seconds back to Pavlos outside that top 3. He is ahead at the moment of Bonnie Val, but Bonnie Val all over the back of him like a very, very sore rash. Is he going to be able to make that move? You can see that he's got he's certainly got the slipstream heading down towards turn 1. Whether or not he can make the move or not is another matter. It's so annoying that I've got to do this now. The keeper controls. I don't know why the keeper controls not working. So you can see here that he is closing in. What's Pavlos going to do? Is Pavlos going to go centre of the track? No, he's gone left. So Body Val going just up inside him. He can't go too far inside because it takes him off that one dry line. It does make it very difficult to make the move at the end of the straight into turn 1 with having the 2 distinct lines through there. You've got the very wet one and the very dry one. And you do not want to be taking your slick tyres onto that wet patch and trying to slow down to make an overtake on the car next to you, because it will kill one or both of you quite easily. Yellow flag up ahead. Is that for a back marker, or is that for one of these guys? It's certainly not for one of these guys. They all seem to be running quite well. Pavlos running well. Body Val running well still. We can see there. So, was it a back marker that had a problem? That's Demos coming into the pits. He's decided that he's had enough of those wet tires. You can see the weather has changed quite significantly, and it's going to dry out this track very, very quickly. Old man Jay is, so it looks like TJ. Oh, TJ facing in the wrong direction. Racing soft tyre thing. What happened to him this time? It's not going well for him. He's about to be, I can't do replays either, because the keyboard controls have stopped working. What a crock of shit. The upper, that button works, and the car selection button works, but the camera one doesn't. Right, so Stormfly, 2.8 seconds to Sharky. In terms of fuel, very, very similar. Nothing to separate them much. Although Sharky there with he's got a lot of fuel. Tyres, nothing but fuel. Sharky can run. I don't know if he can run to the end, but he can run pretty damn close to it. Midas there in third. Just coming off the track. That's going to allow Pavlos to close right up on him. And Body Val, of course. And Body Val got that slightly thinner line through there. But again, it's still not quite enough to be able to make that move into turn one. And there you can see there that it's turned what is quite a wide racetrack into a very narrow, very complicated one. Because you can't risk putting those slick tyres just like that. That's what happened. You see there, Pavlos just catching the side of the track there on those slick tyres, and the back end stepping out. That's allowed Body Val to make the move and up into fourth. He gets that overtake done. It's exactly what I was saying. You can't risk putting those slick tyres anywhere near the curbs or anywhere near that wet patch. See there, going through there, he catches the curb slightly. Body Val with a slight advantage, of course, in the rain that he's using a controller. It's much easier to stop yourself from dying with a controller in the rain, or so I'm told. So let's have a look down the order. So there's Wiggy in ninth place. He's Ben No Man's Land at the moment. He's 6.7 behind Beardy from ART. He's 6 seconds clear of Michael Spocker, who still has the fastest lap, but has some damage. And it's been a tale of tyre choice, really, that we've seen that Sharky, Stormfly, Midas, Beardy even, they've made some really, really good calls with the tyres, and it's allowed them to stay in the mix or improve their track position significantly. Michael Sapoka not been quite so studious with the choice of tyres, and it's not paid off for him so far. There is probably one more pit stop in the offing between now and the end of the race, and then we don't know what the weather conditions are now between now and the end of the race. We know at the moment that it's there's no clouds, certainly. Certainly didn't look like it did when the race started. It looked biblical at the beginning of this race, but it's drying out a lot at the moment. But it's going to be an interesting finish to the race, I think. They're still only lapping, or certainly the fastest man on the racetrack that we're looking at the moment is only lapping the 145s, which is well off the 138.5 pace that was set early doors. Sharky's still only the 142s, and that's because that you can only use this one dry line through this circuit. He's still holding that kind of 3 odd seconds either way to Stormfly, but it's going to be an interesting battle, because he's got plenty more fuel on board. Stormfly's going to have to stop earlier, but if the weather does change again and it falls for Stormfly right in terms of pit strategy, then it could play right into his hands, and he's staying in the mix there. In terms of the championship race, Sharky, yes, he's up there. Knudsen, no show today. That's a massive, that's a 50-point drop for Knudsen. Although this will be, everyone has a drop round. This will probably be his, assuming he turns up to the rest, but it's still a big points loss at this stage. Midas up there, he's starting to get some good points. But we've also got, in the championship race, we've got Bonnie Val. He's back in fourth. I say that, he makes the move on Midas. He's finally starting to find those lines now. So he got around Pavlos. Pavlos made a mistake. He made that move around Midas. He's now back in to the top 3. but he's 16 seconds back, and he's got some back markers ahead of him to contend with, which is not the easiest thing to deal with at this stage of a race. Little reminder that he's there into the back. I don't know who that was. I'm assuming that was TJ. How's Tyler getting on? There he's running in 7th place. He's got no real trouble at the moment. He's 26 seconds outside that top 6. Colum's another one actually who was absolutely brilliant with his tyre choices throughout that changeable weather period. And the driver that started this race in the bottom 3 finds himself firmly in the top 6 ahead of Tyler here. You can see him there. He's got no one around him. Pavlos is 20 odd seconds up the road, but the Australian's still 26 seconds behind. And with only 8 laps remaining, even if the weather stays as it is and neither driver have to pit, which they probably won't have to do, it's going to be a massive task for Tyler to catch him. We've got Cullum at the moment doing steady, it looks 143s when he's not making errors. At the moment, 142.4s. Tyler's going to need to be churning out much quicker lap times than that. He's going to need at least 2 seconds a lap if he wants to catch him. In fact, more than that, 3 seconds a lap if he wants to catch him at this stage. He's kind of relying on a mistake at the moment. Wiggy, he for me was one of my favourites in the weather conditions, but it was one of those where the tyre choices just didn't quite pay off. And he's currently running in 9th place. He's in good company. He's got Beardy just ahead 4.3 seconds. His last lap was a 41.9. Beardy with a 42.7. It's only 3.4 seconds, so he can, at this current pace, catch him before the end of the race. And he'll have time, a couple of laps in which to try and find the overtake. 11 seconds ahead of Demos, who's lapping at a very similar pace. He's not going to do any better than 10th unless something drastic ahead happens. And you've got Marcus Apotka. Marcus Apotka, he's got damage. He had a pretty slow last lap. This one's looking a lot more representative of his pace. Cost on that's a 42. Yeah, he's a 42.3 for him there. He had a really bad lap 27, which cost him some time. So he needs to try and fight now to get his way back into that top 10. 52 seconds back to TJ, who was behind Jay at one stage, but has found his way ahead of him now. And starting to lap in those 42s. Jay with that 3 second penalty, he's just come out of the pits. That's why TJ's ahead, he's just come out of the pits. He's got a 3 second penalty. It's going to be a bit of work now to try and catch, as it is 15.5 seconds being that gap. It seems to me that Jay actually is much better. He's a sprint racer in terms of pace. He equal conditions, sprint racing. Jay is no slouch. Tyre choice and strategy just went a little bit. I think the choice of wet tyres as early as he did was a big blow. He had a good fight in the sprint race with Colum and with Beardy, but it's not gone all so well. And a 3 second penalty there is not helping in the slightest. So Sharky still leads. The gap down to 2.6 seconds. It was at one stage out to 3 seconds. But he has got fuel, I think, to make it to the end without too many problems, should I say. Stormfly, however, is going to have to pit for fuel. Now, Bonnie Val's only 13 seconds back, and he's got enough left in the tank. I wonder if Stormfly was hedging his bets with the weather and hoping there would be more to come, and that everyone would have to pit anyway. If that's the case, then it's not worked out. Now, he's in danger certainly from Bonnie Val, but also possibly from Midas and Pavlos, who are running in 4th and 5th, almost side by side. Midas with good tyre choices has helped him work his way through the field. His teammate Pavlos there almost certainly got a penalty coming his way, and Demos, also from HLT, down in 10th, without question there's a penalty coming his way. The stewards don't even need to look at it to know that was a blatant penalty, but I will put the ticket in myself if I have to, as I do whenever I see anything. So I think Stormfly's in a bit of trouble here, because he was giving Sharky something to think about in the championship. He was ahead of Bonnie Val. Newton didn't show up. It was all looking pretty good for Stormfly, and then the fuel situation has come back to bite him in the arse, and he's going to have to pit. The cars around him don't. Sharky can stay out, but certainly Sharky will know that all he has to do. If he won't know at the moment what the fuel situation is, but once Stormfly goes into the pits to fuel, he'll know that if he is short on fuel, he just needs to fuel save it to the end, because the gap will be significant, because Bonnie Val is some way back. But Stormfly are going to struggle now to hold on to third position with just 5 laps remaining, and he could potentially find himself fifth. Depending on where these guys slot in, and Pavlos going around the outside of Midas, and that's a brave move there. Midas holding on though, he's not going to let him take it without a fight. I like the fact that these guys, they do help each other out, but they are prepared to fight on the racetrack as well. They just don't seem to fight as aggressively with each other as they do with everybody else. Right, so there's Stormfly going in. We knew he'd have to go in eventually. And there he is. So we know Bonnie Val is going to come through, and here goes Bonnie Val taking second. And bear in mind, at one stage his tyre choices were a little bit ropey, and we were wondering if he was ever going to make it any inroads into the top 5, let alone be in second position. Pavlos is through, Midas is through. Stormfly has got an uphill battle to get any solid points out of this feature race. He's in the top 5. It's nothing to be slouched at in the top 5 among this company, but when you're challenging for a title this early in the season, you want to get the numbers on the board, and he's currently tied with Sharky at the top of the leaderboard. This is going to be a big blow in this championship race for Stormfly. But of course, we do have a dropped round. So there will be, your worst performing round will be dropped at the end of round 9. Round 10, points are as they are. So that could come into play later on in the season. And of course, it only takes Bonnie or Sharky, like Knudsen, to miss a round, and all of a sudden things are shooked up a little bit. There is Colum. He's running in 6th position. 14 seconds behind Stormfly, unlikely to catch him, but I don't think he's going to get caught by Tyler either. So that's good, solid points for ART today. They've got Bonnie Val scoring up in 2nd. They've got McCullum there in 6th. Willie's ahead of Beardy now, but Beardy's sticking with him. Beardy there in the top 10 as well. So in the top 10 we've got LRC with Sharky. We've got ART, Bonnie Val. We've got 2 HKRT drivers in 3rd and 4th. Stormfly 4, Black Flag, Colum for ART. Another LRC in Tyler Lanzell in 7th. Black Flag there, Wiggy in 8th. Beardy in 9th for ART. And HKRT again in that top 10. That is certainly going to make big dents in the scoreboard for the team competition, and certainly close up those gaps. And that's a personal best for Demos there on that 10, although Demos will be getting a massive penalty coming his way for the blatant attempt at taking another driver out during an overtake. Marcus Sabotka, 3.3 seconds is the gap. He's significantly quick. Well, I say significantly, it's not that significant. He is consistently quicker than Demos ahead of him. He's finding that regular mid 140 laps to try and close that 3.2 second gap on Demos, who is flitting between doing sub 140s to mid 141s. This is looking like a pretty quick lap as well. There's this sub 140, it is another sub 140 lap. So Demos starting to find some pace now. TJ 56 seconds behind Michael Sabotka, but will 12th is enough to hang on in Division 1 as it stands. There is Sharky overtaking, not permitted, although he's got no one to overtake, being in the lead. Yellow flag is for whom? I would imagine it's Old Man J, maybe. Yeah, there's Sharky going through. He slowed right down to let Sharky past him. It should be a blue flag rather than a yellow flag, though, right? Bonnie Val 16 seconds back. It looks like he's going to hold on to second. He's firmly now in those mid 139s, finding some pace there. Is nice for him. Pavlos is looking pretty quick though. They're in third. He's starting to pull away from his teammate Midas, who is 12 seconds ahead of Stormfly. Stormfly had to resign. I think he's going to have to resign himself to fifth after having to pit with just a few laps remaining. He took a gamble. It was a gamble on the weather changing. You can see that the clouds are setting in again. But I think even if it rains now, unless it is absolutely crazy like that bout in the middle of the race, it's going to be slicks all the way now, and no one's going to need to change out their tyres. I certainly don't think the top four. I think the top four would probably risk the last 2 laps of the race on slick tyres, even if it did rain now. Let's do a full rundown from the back of the pack, shall we? Can't do it like that because keyboard controls all that. Right, so old man Jay is he's almost a minute behind TJ now, but he is literally pulling over to let other cars through. I've never been a fan of pulling over in such a way for lapping. You know, there is an owner's responsibility. I mean, he's coming into the pits actually on lap 32 because he's got damage. He's going to repair that damage and then carry on. Yeah, so he's a minute behind TJ in 13th place. He'll be back in Lobby 2 next week, but will have picked up some great points in what will probably be the Pro-Am competition by being in Lobby 1 this week. TJ, they're running in 12th. He's almost a minute behind Marcus Bocker, who, with extraordinary pace, and found himself up among the big boys in that sprint race, but couldn't replicate it with the changeable weather conditions. So have we found a weakness in the elite driver? We make the track wet and then it all goes horribly wrong for him. Maybe that's how you defeat the US driver. 1.7 seconds to Demos in 10th position. He's got 2.3 seconds to bid. He's still catchable with a couple of laps left for them. But obviously Marcus Botka might catch him as well. But the pace is very similar at the moment for those two. Beardy's 8.6 behind Wiggy. Wiggy got past him and he's started to drop away from the back of Wiggy. Now in those 39s, he's 6 seconds behind Tyler Lansell from LRC, but lapping at very, very similar pace. 18 seconds up the road. For me, the driver of the day is Kalum from ART. He started in the bottom 3 and just absolutely got his strategy nailed on perfect. He got the right tyres on the car at the right time. He found the pace. And he has a look, you know, he's a couple of seconds off the fastest lap. But he got every choice right when it came to picking tyres. Although, if you're going to spin out like that, you might get it taken away from you on lap 35. I think he's got enough over Tyler to stay on. But no, he's absolutely picked the right strategy every single time. It's really paid off for him. Stormfly 25 seconds ahead of Colum and 10 seconds behind Midas. He's closing the gap, but it's final lap. He's not going to have a chance to have a go at that. So top 5 all on the final lap of the race. Midas running in 4th. He's 4.5 seconds now behind his teammate Pavlos, who may have a penalty coming his way. This will be looked at again. 4.4 seconds to Bonnie Val. The fuel is there. He's got a half-second penalty, but I don't think it's going to be enough to give Pavlos the impetus that he would like to take. But that's a good solid top 3 for these two. But Sharky, and another driver who just got it right in terms of strategy, and even when the everything said you should be on wet tyres, and he was on intermediates, and everything said you should be on slicks and he was on intermediates, he just made it work and he kept churning out the times, and he's going to win this race, albeit with a penalty, by 19 seconds. And again, it's the Australian Sharky that takes the win here, and steals the fastest lap on the last lap of the race from Michael Sabotka, which I think makes it 3 out of 3 for him. Bonnie Val, great race from him. He was struggling during the rainy part of the race, but comes home 4th, 2nd. Still keeps that championship fight alive. Pavlos with a 3rd place, although there may be a penalty involved there for an instant earlier. Midas in 4th. Stormfly got it wrong with the fuel. Gambled on a bit more rain. It didn't pay off. He's coming home in 5th, but a good solid performance from him as well. Top 5 among this company is a good result. Colum, though, driver of the day without question, started in the bottom 3, absolutely nailed on with strategy. 28 seconds back, but inside that top 6 he finds himself, and he's going to deservedly get a big chunk of points for this 6th place finish, and 9 seconds ahead. Bear in mind, he comes up from lobby 2 and he's 9 seconds clear of this guy, the lobby 1 regular, Tyler Lanzell from the Leviathan Racing Crew, who's coming home in 7th. He is 5 seconds ahead of Wiggy, and there he goes. Beardy home in 9th, although Demos on a bit of a charge towards the line. Not that it's going to matter, because he's going to get a penalty so big he's going to be in lobby 12 next week. He is in 10th position. Michael Zabotka got it all kinds of wrong when the rain came out. When it was dry, he was uncatchable. When it got wet, we found his Achilles heel, and there he is on the grass and across the line at 11th. TJ in 12th, and old man Jay decided on that 33 that he was done with this race and quit into the pits for 13th. Yeah, you didn't. To be fair, last night you went into the pits and you didn't need to, and this time you didn't spend enough time in the pits when you should have done. Interesting race, though. Interesting race. It's interesting as well the way people interpreted what they were seeing on the weather radar. Everyone had the same data available to them, but it was interpreted in different ways by different people. There was a couple of drivers who nailed on, just got it wrong with going on wet tyres as early as they did. Really cost them time. It cost them time in the fact that they had to pit twice for wet tyres, because when you put the wet tyres on too early, the degradation is just far too much. It's just far not worth it. For me, Colum, that was a strategy masterclass. You were spot on with tyre choices. Sharky was pretty good tyre choices, but Colum, in terms of when he pit and the tyres he put on, absolutely got a spot on. I mean, he started in the bottom 3 and he finished in the top 6, and that deserves some recognition, particularly as he came up from lobby 2 just last week. But yeah, Mihal, as I said it, when it was dry, you were unstoppable. When it got wet, we found out what your problem is. You don't like it wet. But congratulations goes to Sharky of the Leviathan Racing Crew. He did pick up a penalty at the end because he had that little... he took a rather interesting route through the final corner. But stole the fastest lap from Michael Sabotka on that last lap, which is a bit of a shit. But that's an extra point, and points win prizes. Sharky from Body Val, Pavlos and Midas in those in the top 3. Although Pavlos, I have a feeling, will have to hand that to Midas when he gets his penalty. Stormfly in 5th, Colum in 6th, Tyler in 7th, Wiggy was 8th. It looked at one stage that Wiggy might actually cause a bit of an upset, but it didn't quite work out that way. Beardy, good finish from him. Again, another driver up from lobby 2, promoted up from lobby 2, and secures his place in lobby 1 for next week. Demos, I can guarantee you, wherever he could have finished first, he wouldn't be in lobby 1 next week after that disgusting attempt to ram a driver off the track when he was overtaken. Without question, the stewards don't even need to look at it for me to tell you that was unacceptable and will be punished accordingly. Michael Sabotka didn't like it wet, as he says there on the broadcast. Finishes in 11th place, but has demonstrated that lobby 1 is where he belongs, and the boys out front better watch out, because there's another quickie coming. TJ didn't go so well for him today, or old man Jay. Old man Jay will find himself back at home in lobby 2 next week. Where are we next week? I've actually forgotten. Give me a sec, I'll look it up. That was good race. I love it. The wet races always seem to mix things up a little bit and make things that little bit more complicated. But do enjoy watching how the strategies play out, and it has played out quite well actually for a number of drivers. Right, just going to bring up the list of races. I should have had it ready. That's what a professional would do. But as you know, I'm not one of those things. I'm a pretender to the crown of professional. Right. It helps if I open the right thingy. Computer's on a bit of a go slow today. I don't know why. If someone could tell me in the chat, it would be useful. There is one more guaranteed wet race. Yeah, but that's not until later on. We've got a while yet before we have another one of those. Right, so next time out, we are... where are we? Oh, we are at the home of Wiggy the Welsh Wizard, the Circuit de la Sarthe, in the Peugeot 908 HDI FAP. So some nice quick cars. It's going to be at night, but it's going to be dry. It's going to be perfect weather conditions, actually. 6 laps in the sprint, 18 laps in the feature race. A bit of Le Mans. You can't beat a bit of Le Mans. That is next week. That's on the 9th of March. Then we've got a week's break because of the G-Tech competition. Then we're back on the 23rd for the Honda NSX in Spa. That's followed by Brands Hatch in the BMW M3 Sport Evolution. Big throwback to the 1980s. Deep Forest Raceway in the Toyota 86, beginning of March. Then we go to Tokyo for the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo. Followed by Alsace Village in the Renault Megane Trophy. And then we finish at the god of racetracks, the Nordschleife, in the Audi RS5 Turbo. And let me tell you, it's not going to be all dry that day either. But you can pretty much count on it being dry from now until then. Or will it? No, it will. I'm not going to throw a spanner in the works and chuck in rain where it's not expected. But listen, that was another awesome race. Sharky showing incredible pace, incredible composure, some great tactical decisions from a few drivers in there. Some awful tactical decisions from others. We've seen some thrills, we've seen spills, we've seen some absolutely disgusting driving, we've seen some absolutely filthy good overtakes. But we are finished for another week here at GT Alphas. See you next week. Correntes will be live tomorrow with the rebroadcast of Lobby 2. Check that out right here on Black Flag Racing TV. I'll be back on when am I back? I'm back on Wednesday. Back on Wednesday with some more action from ZFS. But until then, stay frosty, people. It's been emotional.